Hey! Please do not go out of your way to harass the user in question. Also, note that this channel is based off satirical humor. We tend to say a lot of crude things, so if you don't enjoy extremely rude humor, then we suggest you click away while you still can. Thank you.
Requests are closed. If you know that requests are closed, please do not send us in your requests so we have it for when we open them again. Please wait till we make an announcement saying requests are open. Thank you. Hello everybody, I'm Yuji, and welcome back to another OC review. Today we are going to be looking at a My Little Pony OC named White Rose, who is by Bianca Rose G on DeviantArt. There are 3 different pictures for this character, all of which hold bits and pieces of information on said character. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Whoosh. Now, starting off with the looks. Wow, that red and blue are bright, especially against the white background. It really hurts the eyes, just a tad bit. I would suggest toning down the red and making it more of a pastel. Try making it more of a big Macintosh red. As for the blue, I personally don't think this shade of blue goes well with the design in general. I would suggest maybe making it a lighter blue, but obviously you don't have to if you don't want to. Another thing I wanted to mention was the hearts on her legs. I can only assume those are like fur designs, and I know that some characters in MLP have different colors on their pelts, such as Sunburst with his white spots, Pipsqueak with his brown spots, Gayfer from the comics with his white spots, and Princess Cadence and Flurry Heart with the light gradients on their wings. But honestly, I think heart-shaped markings on her legs is a bit much, even for the MLP fandom. Why not just give her blue spots like Pipsqueak and just make one of them in the vague shape of a heart rather than that nice clean heart shape? I drew up a quick kind of redesign to get my point across better. Now, as for the art itself, it's not bad, but definitely could use some work. Now, I don't know how to explain how to draw ponies very well, so I'm just going to link several different how to draw MLP ponies in the description. Okay, one last thing before I move on. Maybe 2. You should really branch out with the colors more, mainly on her gala dress and her rainbow-powered form that you've drawn. You really only use the same blue and red that's used on her body. For the gala dress, why not make it white with some green accents and gold and roses? I just chose the colors on the opposite side of blue and red on the color wheel for more contrast. And for her rainbow power form, just give her 1 or 2 more colors in her mane. Maybe try going for a pastel orange or a light blue. Or again, just use the colors on the opposite side of blue and red on the color wheel. Using the same 2 colors for her clothing and such gets really boring, and it can cause for them to kinda blend into the character, which you do not want. There's also some writing in the picture, apparently all of White Rose's favorite songs, which I will say, Buffett and I normally suggest you leave any information that would normally go in the bio out of the character sheet and just put it in the description of the picture rather than putting it in the picture itself, because it just kinda clutters things a tad bit. So this next picture is her Equestria Girls form. And I noticed with a lot of your human pictures, you tend to draw the same pose over and over and over again. Try branching out a bit more. Look up pose references and try to copy them. It will make your work much more interesting. The white for the top of her dress is nice, but the red, what I assume is supposed to be a flower, it kind of looks like there's just an opening in her dress because it's the same color as her skin. And then there's her skirt. Look, I'm not going to go on a whole nother tangent about the colors again, but just try different colors. Now there's some info off to the side that we are going to read. White Rose enjoy reading in the garden. That enjoy should be enjoys. She would make dolls for sick classmates and would help Rarity at her shop when it came to repairing her outfits. And when she was helping her father with his guitar shop, she would join her best friend Fluttershy with the animals at the animal shelter, and Will, her talents are sewing, writing stories, singing in any key. However, she's shy to sing in front of a crowd. Her father would be very overprotective when she sing in front of a crowd, and babysitting children and cheering them up when they're sad. So there are a few misspells throughout this. Classmates is one word. You accidentally put an E in outfits, put an L in guitar, and you put an extra L in Fluttershy. Fluttershy is also one word, and you didn't capitalize her name. Now, the picture you're seeing on screen is actually cut from this other deviation right here. And that's fine and all, but one problem? You accidentally cut out some of the words. You should probably try to fix that. Well, it's not horrible. It's bad enough that I personally have a hard time making out what some of it's trying to say. But anyways, on to what the text actually says. White Rose came from a mystery. You accidentally spelled mystery wrong. It's M-Y-S-T-E-R-Y. Village, and it was her dream. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here to point something out that kind of bothers me. I've noticed that after every comma or period, you space and put either an apostrophe or quotation marks. And my only question is, why? You know it's not needed, right? Also, there's no need for a comma here. To become a doll maker for little Philly, great and small. When she was traveling, it should be found, not fine, a lost baby alicorn and named it Raven. Then years passed and she would go to each town to give Philly dolls who had nothing. Then she met the most wonderful earth pony named Jaco. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I'm so sorry. You see, his family were farmers and he wanted a better life, so he joined, I'm going to assume that, so he joined them on their travel until Jaco and White Rose fell in love and went to Ponyville with their Raven. They were lucky to find a small house to live in. Then, White Rose would turn her home into a shop to sell her dolls, which every pony loved, and she made a big deal with Miss Rich. And with a shop of her own, she was able to sell her dolls and a few blankets. She met new friends like Rarity, Applejack, Twilight, and her best friend, Derry. The thing was, they were like sisters, you see, for White Rose was special ed, and she finds someone like her. Okay. And there was more to come. She and Jaco had a baby girl together named Sally Locke. And with Raven, they were a family. White Rose had a unique magic like levitation, teleportation. Okay, wait, hold up. White Rose is a unicorn, right? Levitation and teleportation are just things unicorns can do. With a lot of practice, of course. It's not very unique if pretty much every unicorn could do it with enough practice. Like, Rarity can levitate things, and so can Twilight, Starlight, Sunset Shimmer, and Trixie. Or do you mean she can use her magic to levitate herself? Again, not too horribly unique because Starlight can do that. Sure, it's more of a complex spell, but it can be learned by other unicorns. But she had a secret. She had the same dream magic as Princess Luna. What? When she dreams, she can read them and tell you what they meant. She could control her dreams to do anything she wanted. Isn't that lucid dreaming? And her most powerful one is she was able to see Chostand talk to them. In fact, she was ever in trouble, she would contact them.
What? What the fuck?
And here are her flaws. She hated when any pony interrupting her when she talked. She hate bullies when they tease her when she talked. She hate bullies when they tease her kids. She hated when they're danger in down, and she hated Discord for his pranks. When she was growing up, she was chased by a no good jerk, and her cutie mark is... And there's a picture of a cutie mark, which is a needle and thread that is in the shape of a heart. Okay, now that we're done reading everything that was actually in the picture, time to move on everything that's in the description. White Rose was born in the city of Golden Hoof that has been hidden the jungle, and she was born with rare powers which belong to her great-grandfather, but I rather not tell you who he is. Anyway, Her mother was a nasty earth pony who used White Rose power for evil. Since their family owned this city. Her family owned this city? Wow! And Bianca was treated like dirt, but she had her older sister and her father, but one day White Rose didn't want to do it no more, so her sister and dad helped her escape her mother wrath. So White Rose traveled around, then there is a lot of spaces, Equestria. As White Rose traveled, she met minotaurs, dragons, and griffins. Some were mean and some were not so nice. Wait, some were mean and some were not so nice? That's... You could have just said some were mean. Or were you meaning to say some were mean and some were like actually pretty nice? I'm confused. But then White Rose was so lost, these bat pony help her out and give her a map to a better place. As the years passed, she learned to use her powers, but it was hard task. She had to master them on her own. Psychic powers, she could teleport, but she has one power, the link to her Princess Luna, and when she has dreams, she can read them and tell you what they mean. She connection with Luna, she could control her dream. White Rose has the ability to talk to ghosts of past, and she would ask them advice. What? As White Rose entered in Old Bildrin, it was like some pony attack it. Then she hear crying and find a baby alicorn with blue coat and purple mane. She named it Raven and took her in as her child. Then as the years passed, little Raven grow happy around her unicorn mother. Jaco was an earth pony who loves to write stories, but his family wanted him to be a farmer, but he hated it. Was so boring, he was more reading. Wait a second. This is all copy and pasted from Jaco's section in the family picture. Well, I guess I'll finish reading it, but I'm gonna speed it up a bit, okay? Okay.
Until one day he see the most lovely thing ever, a lady and her child. They hungry and lost, so he let them into his home. His family treated good, and for a while they stayed. Then White Rose would help them around the house, which he loved helping until White Rose found a book he was working, and she loved it. She told him that Jaco was a good writing, and that made him smile. The two didn't know it, but they were in love, and Raven treated him like a father. Then he knew that those two were leaving, so he went with them. His parents knew he had to go, and he was happy to be with themes. They walked together. Different towns. Then when they went to each town, he would sell one of his books, and they would be a hit with every pony. Each town loved his books and her dolls, until they find Ponyville, and they moved to a small house. Then a month later, she sold his book, and Ponyville loved it, so he decided to have a bookstore of his own with please his family. Now his flaws are, he tended to talk over some, and he had a hard head whenever he in a fight with the cult. If say anything on Raven, his best friend are big. McCann, his cutie mark is W and pencil.
But there came a time when he had to leave her to be with White Rose and Raven. Yes, she has flaws. She hated when anyone interrupted her when she talked. She hated when some pony teased her family. She hated when a villain tried to hurt her family, and do not like Discord playing Plank. White Rose, her family moved to Ponyville when Discord attacked Pony the second time. She mother has 2 teenage pony daughters and has a husband, and her cutie mark is the needle and tread. She loved to make dolls and blankets for Philly who need them, and she give you a hard riddle, and she clever. She will outwit any villain. When growing up, she was chased by villains who wanted to use her. But there one spell she never used. She only used it if she and her family or friends are in trouble. Bianca loved to read many types of books like mystery, adventure, and ghosts. She loved her family very much. She would do her best to make them happy. She helpful. Her main weapon is a sword. Why does she use a sword if she has magic? Okay. Alright, that's it for the bio. Moving on to final thoughts. Okay, where do I start? I think I'm going to brush over the art and colors again and then move on to everything else. Like I stated earlier in the video, for the colors, try toning them down to pastels rather than keeping them that really harsh bright color. When designing White Rose's clothes, try to branch out more with the colors rather than just keeping everything red and blue. For the art itself, I noticed that when drawing ponies, their bodies come out as long rectangles and they just look really stiff. The same goes for when you draw people. To fix this, look up drawing tutorials. You also tend to draw the same pose over and over again. I too am guilty of this, and I understand it's hard to move away from your comfort zone. But if you want to improve, then I suggest referencing pose study pictures or again, bases to help you branch out a bit more. I'll be linking several different kinds of tutorials for drawing ponies and people, as well as pose studies, groups that are dedicated to bases and drawing tutorials, etc. All down in the description. Okay, now that I'm finished talking about the art, it's time to move on to the bio itself. Well, the bits and pieces of the bio that were strewn throughout different pictures. First off, nothing was explained very thoroughly. Yeah, you give us bits and pieces, but that's about it. Instead, you chose to brush over everything as if it's not important. Another thing is there are a lot of misspells and such throughout all of the information. You might want to slow down when writing and be sure to reread everything before posting it. Or, as Muffin and I have suggested before, throw it into Google Translate and listen to the bot read it. When you hear misspells and stuff like that, you're faster to catch it because your brain will naturally fix the word most of the time. So reread everything or throw it into Google Translate and listen to the bot read it to you so you can go back and fix the mistakes that are there. Having misspells like that can really throw someone off when reading, and it can disinterest them if they can't manage to make out what you're trying to say throughout the bio. Another thing about her is you took no time to develop a proper personality for her. And with the way you describe her abilities, she sounds way too overpowered. Giving your character special powers with little to no explanation on how they work, how she got them, or what disadvantages they give her, it's not really a good idea. It makes your character seem, again, overpowered and in most cases very unlikable. Next thing I want to talk about is how you have a lot of your character's information on different deviations. This really isn't recommended. A lot of people don't want to go hunting through your gallery for every little bit of information on the character. That's if they want to learn about your character. It's best to keep it all in one place, in the description of your character's character sheet. Oh, and another thing, it's best to leave your character's backstory, personality, likes and dislikes, and stuff like that in the description and not in the actual picture of the character. It just kind of clears things, and you can't write as much without the text being super small, or the deviation being gigantic. Also, you might want to use or reference a blank character bio sheet, just so you could get a better idea of what you should probably have in your character's bio. And when writing your character's backstory, slow down and take your time to explain things. It's okay to have a super long backstory. It's called a backstory for a reason. As for the character sheet itself, I'm going to throw up a couple of other people's character sheets and some character sheet bases just to give you a good idea of what your character sheet should probably look like. Obviously, you don't have to follow these to a T, but they should help you out a bit. But anyways, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm Yuji, and I will see you in the next video.